Okay, so first thing, obviously you've noticed, but I'll reiterate. I'm actually, even though we have 2 hours scheduled on Fridays, I'm basically taking that time to introduce lab or what we're doing for that, and then counting basically your time at home as a course time in here. So Fridays, I won't promise it always, but Fridays typically will be short because of that, okay? Known issues. I know that in looking at the reports and the things that you guys have turned in, I am aware, I guess I ought to, yeah, it's recording good. I am aware that in some cases the config file that I said to copy from CFlash over is not there, and I think what we think is going on with those names, the command line is so long, because I actually did this, I didn't tell you this, I did this the other day. I did the up and edit, and I overwrote it by accident. And I think that's what's happening sometimes is one person will go through, do the lab, inadvertently overwrite that, and so when the next person comes in, it's not there. So anyway, to address that, we have set up a TFTP server, which we'll be using basically from now on in the lab. The short version on how to work is any config files like that will be read-only from TFTP, and you'll store your configs back on TFTP. Rather than go through the 15-step process here, what I will do is just post, I'll post a sheet on how to do a short exercise basically, so you'll practice it, but I'll have you save a config, rename it or something, name the prompt your name or something, and then write it over so I can tell that it's there. But that's how we'll do the rest of the labs on that. I lack a little more of getting the routed infrastructure set up for that to work. I hadn't intended on doing this quite that fast, and so I'm catching up on building the infrastructure on it. A couple of you have said that the consoles or the virtual machines have either hung or not responded great. How many ran into that? John, you did?
I noticed the key from this little black flash temporarily on one device. It's like an artifact.
The way this works, of course, is you are remoting into a virtual machine that's on the university domain, and then from that virtual machine remoting into a virtual machine in the lab. So there's necessarily some latency in there. And honestly, there's not going to be a lot we can do about that. Excuse me. But we, I think the other one that ran into that issue was in class. So in one case, there simply wasn't an explanation. We went back and looked at the logs, and the VM just went nuts. All we can see is that the processor pegged at the top and just stayed there. So obviously something broke, but we don't have enough information to know what it is. If you run into something like that, please jot down the circumstances so that we can follow up on it. But with, I'm sorry? Pod 2? Oh, yeah, pod number on it as well. I guess that's all the, those are the main things that we've come across. Questions on the procedure. Did you see can you see how the controls we've been talking about in class are tied into that procedure? We've taken the idea of that interface, the physical interface that we talked about in the circuit switched version, and we sort of morphed it so that what you're actually programming, number templates are for the whole switch, which that remains the same. That's when a number's complete, make a routing decision. The difference is what you do with the numbers after they're complete. Instead of having a physical interface on that switch, you're associating it with the user interface. And then separately, we're associating that user interface with a device. either a hard phone, which has a logical interface in the form of an IP address tied to a MAC address, or a soft phone, which is logging in, saying basically it's that user and associating an IP address dynamically. Either way, we're ending up with IP being the interface that we're using for the voice call. And we knew we were going to get here, but I wanted you to see the controls that got you here. Before we go any further, are you okay on how the phone numbers tie with users? How we control what those users can do using class of service? Thanks. I've been writing on 301 all morning, so I've got all the 301 terminology running through my head right now. Class of service. Do you see how class of service is controlling what you can do with those calls? Okay. We will, in a couple of weeks, look pretty deeply into that phone boot process and the whole conversation going on between a phone, soft phone, or hard phone, and the server. We're not quite ready to do that yet. What we're going to do for the next 2 weeks is work through a design problem and an implementation problem. This is your Lab 3. We will extend it over most of next week. Whoops. There we go.
Is there any way with these labs to find a way to temporarily save the work so you don't have to go back through the whole lab?
That's what you'll be able to do that with the TFTP server. That's the reason we jumped that one up. So what I'm going to have you do, and these terms, by the way, main site, auxiliary site, and branch office are terms that we're going to use for our lab environment through the rest of the semester. If you looked at the shortcut sheet that's posted, you'll see that those are in there, and we'll start tying that equipment in. For this, what I want you to do is think through an enterprise-level dial plan, the way we've been talking about, but consider it using the equipment you've been using in the lab, so a NetVanta 7100. Now, I want you to design this on paper for the entire network. I am aware that we have not done anything with trunks, switch-to-switch links. You're not going to have to implement that. I will only have you implement the local part of the dial plan. But I want you to think through the design of it for the entire network. Okay? So what you have is a network with 3 sites. They are tied together by a private WAN. At this point, we're not concerned about how that happens. We just know that they have bandwidth that links their sites that is not the public telephone network. And that's how our calls go. Each of the offices connects to the LEC for local calls, local off-net calls. All of them can connect to the long distance, but they do it through their main site. Okay. Each site has an assigned number range, and the numbers are right there. Main site, it has 270.753, 2340 through 2349. Auxiliary site has 5 users, and it's assigned 502.472.8970 through 8979. Branch has 7 users, been assigned 256.923, 2380 through 2389. What I want you to do is to come up with everything you had to build for a dial plan for this lab. So you're going to have to do a description of the call types on this network. I want you to then come up with number complete templates, dial plan templates for those call types. Okay. A class of service plan, and we'll have requirements here in just a second, but you'll have to use classes of service to control calls. And a description of the user accounts that you'll have to build. Okay. if you flip it over, the requirements I have are within a site that you use 2-digit dialing. Okay, so if I'm calling from my phone to your phone inside a single site, I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm going to dial 2 digits, and your phone's going to ring. Okay? To go to one of the other sites on net, so across our private WAN, you'll use 3-digit dialing. For the LEC, it's 9 plus 10 digits, so 9 area code, exchange code, 4 digits. Long distance is 19 and 10 digits. As I already mentioned, the long distance link is shared by everybody, but it leaves the main site. 911 routes to the LEC at each site. Only executives in the company may dial long distance. And then I tell you how the numbers are assigned. The first number in the range, lowest combination in the range, is assigned to the operator. The second and third numbers are assigned to executives, and the last number is used as a lobby phone and can only dial extensions at the local site. Okay? Fairly straightforward. You need to think, the other requirement, is that all of the sites need to dial calls the same way. So if I teach a user how to use this system at the main site and they move to the auxiliary site, they know how to use the phone system already. Okay. Fairly straightforward exercise. We'll go over it Monday when you come in. Again, you're not trying to guess what's in my head. These are requirements. I don't have a preset way for you to meet this. Okay? You do need to be consistent, and you need to be able to explain it to me. So we're going to compare some answers. With a fairly simple thing like this, you're not going to be too far apart, but there are different ways to handle it. Okay?
Now, if we're going to discuss this, does that mean that to wait, work on it until after we discuss it Monday?
No, you need to come up with your solution and bring it to class Monday. I'll post this as an assignment on Canvas. Yep.
So basically, is we write up our solution on Monday. We start discussing it, and eventually, we all
You're going to build
give
it.
a general answer, and then answer it.
No, I'll probably let you build. I'm probably going to keep it different and just let you build your own way through. You know, I'm not looking for everybody to do the same solution in the lab. Okay.
Turn in the thin, or we got no?
You are going to turn it in to me, but mainly that's so I can keep up with the points on it. And I'll put an assignment up on Canvas that will be this page, the form I want you to give it to me in, and the link to submit it. How do the executives work into this?
Well, I know.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, you say the first two lines are the executive.
Yeah. First two lines after the operator.
Correct. You could assume that the 111s, the 112s, and 113s are the executives. You don't have to do that.
I'm sorry, I'm being dense. What my goal with that is to make you have to control user capability. I want you to differentiate between users, so the executives get to do something that most users can't.
Call it business.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the class of service that we've already established, 111 can call everything.
But
212 can't call everything.
That was just for this last lab.
Yeah, that was just for the last lab. I'm asking you to create a new dial plan from scratch. Yeah.
So don't incorporate that.
I mean, certainly that should have gotten you down the line about how this works, how you do it.
But the extra line.
Extra line, right now, don't work with extra lines. Yeah. You're already doing that. You're already doing what you would need to do to deal with that with what I've already got in front of you. And you don't know enough about the routing yet to actually do it. So we're going to leave that. Okay? Like I said, I'll put the form up for you to use just so I don't have to guess through everybody's forms. Yes, sir.
You say first number is signed inside the operator?
Yes. Lowest combination in that range.
So you're talking about
Yes. Yeah.
is that separate from the amount of users? Like, would it, like, say for the main side, the operator would be
Operator would be 2340.
2340, yeah, and the
Yeah.
executives would be 2341 and 2342?
Correct.
And the rest of the 6 users would be just whatever number?
Yeah. The highest one is reserved for a phone in the lobby.
So those would have 3 extra users per side.
Yeah.
I guess the operators like the regular old telephone operator in this scheme.
I mean, it's just so that it's so that you have to assign a hard phone to one of those lines. So, this is contrived, I know that. It's coming up with a scenario that you have to use what we've talked about without going past it. So I'm aware that it's kind of a contrived example.
When you're talking call types, in-house, in our network, LAC,
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yes, the process we've talked about for how you think about the way the network works, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You're essentially in step 1, you're describing, think through how your templates need to work. That's the only goal I have there. So yes, what you outlined would cover a lot of them. Okay. Okay, I will get this up. Give me the next hour to get it going, and then it'll be up. And we'll see you guys Monday. Have a safe weekend. If you're in the online class, I will, obviously this will be posted here in a little bit. Same sort of thing. I'm going to push the discussion, the deadline to turn it in to Tuesday morning instead of Monday.